Okay, so I've got all my 1,000 here. It's highlighted. I'm going to right click and I'm just going to copy. Now, I also made sure that I included the trial number in there, since we don't have the trial numbers here, so I can drop it off. So I'm going to go and I'm going to paste this as values. Now, our 60-day mean kind of changed. So it jumped up to 90, so it got a little bit better. And so what I want to do is, let's see, this is 500 trials, and this will be 1,000 trials. And so, actually, let's not even do that. Let's just go straight with 1,000 trials. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and go to the name manager. I'm going to go to day 60, and I'm going to change day 60. And I'll change everything for us. So I'm just going to slide this over and grab all 1,000. Oops, went too far. Just wanted to grab all 1,000 data points. I'm looking at that, we're at 1,100 on the column, so overshot by a couple hundred. We'll get those back soon. So we're just going to keep going here. We've almost got it, and there we go. So we're just going to change it to those 1,000. Now, at 500 it was at 90. Let's see what it is now at 1,000. Yes, I do want to change that reference. We'll grab our thing, we'll go all the way back. And there we go. So now we went with 1,000 data points, and our mean, it's still a leftward left-skewed distribution. I lost my language there for a minute. And we can see we still got a relatively similar variation of $37, but now you can see that our maximum value was $344 and our minimum was $26, so a little bit wider of a range. And so if we go up to here to what it was last Friday, we're still within 6. So it's kind of an interesting thing just to be able to take a look at that and see what is going on with everything. So let's quickly just take a look at some other statistic data since we have that here. And let's take a look at our percentiles. And so we'll look at the 5%, the 25%, the 50%, the 75%, and we are going to look at our 95%. So what are our percentiles again? This is going to be the percentage of the scenarios of what the stock price is going to look like 50 days from now. So if I was looking at like the 25th percentile, that means, let's calculate out the values first and then talk about exactly what that means. So we're going to go and we're going to use the function percentile. Now it is one of the older functions. You can see it's got it's a compatibility function because they don't really use it as much anymore. So the array is going to be that day 60. And the percent that we're going to be looking at is, we're just going to go over here and we want to look at 5%. And so we'll calculate out the values. And we'll drop those in. Now these are all going to be dollar values. So I'm just going to paste my formatting over here. And there we go, we're on my paintbrush. And so we're looking at this. So if I'm looking at the 25 percentile, this is the one that I brought up earlier. So what does a 25 percentile mean? That means that in 25% of the scenarios where we were simulating the stock price 60 days from now, 25% of those scenarios are going to fall below 62.75. So that just tells me that 75% of our scenarios are going to be above that line. So here's our 50th percentile, or once again, that's our right there for our median. So 50% of the situations that we just ran are going to be below 82. 50% of them are going to be above 82. Okay, so now let's let's play some odds here. Let's figure out the percentage greater than each of our numbers. And we'll actually use our percentiles. So we'll do it in $5 increments. So let's look at $65 and then $70 and $75. And then from there, we'll just run that up to about 150 or so. So $160, there we go. So now I want to figure out what the percentile, or what the percentage of values from our simulation will be greater than $65. And then we'll do that for each of these things here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a Countif function. And so I want to basically count how many of our simulations are above $65. So I'm going to use my range, and we gave it a range name to make things easy. So my day 60, there's my 1,000 different simulations that I had. And so now I want to put together an equation. So what we're going to do is we're going to say greater than, we're going to put it in the parentheses, because we are going to use the function to concentrate or congregate everything together, and that's the ampersand sign. And so we're going to have everything in there. So what Excel is going to do is it's going to take a look at it. It's going to count all of those numbers with this criteria. And so I'm taking this text of the greater than and that number of 65 and putting it together. And so if I just end it here, of my 1,000 simulations, that means 720 of them are greater than $65. Now, I do want this in a percentage, so what we're going to do is we're going to divide that by a count of just everything in that array. So that should be divided by 1,000. It gives us a percentage. We'll change that to a percentage. So of all my simulations, my 1,000 simulations as I simulate the stock price, 72% of them are going to be greater than $65. And so I'm just going to grab that. I'm going to drag that down, and we can see where we're at. So what is, once again, interpretation? Let's take $95. In fact, let's not take $95. Let's take what the real price was. The real price was at $82. So we'll take the $85 out there. We'll talk about this one here. So what does this interpretation mean? That there is a 47.8% chance that the Royal Caribbean stock price will be greater than $85 60 days from now. And so if we were looking at it, if we were going for like the 140, well, there's an 8.9% chance that the stock price would be greater than $140 60 days from now. Like I said, we cheated because we kind of cut it off, and we knew that we're going to be right here at that 80. Exactly what was it? That $82. So actually, our stock price ended up right at what the median was. So there's a 50-50 chance that it would be greater than that. Okay, so this is how we would sit there and use simulation just to take a look at something fun like that. And actually, let's throw quickly together a histogram so we can see what this looks like. So I'm going to, once again, let's grab all 1,000 data points. We're going to make one last graph. We're going to go insert. We're going to do a histogram. And actually, I was saying earlier it was a left skewed distribution. I was incorrect. I was speaking wrong. It's a right skewed distribution because the longer tail is at the right. And I still mess it up sometimes. When I'm looking at it, it's a lot easier to see here. It's like, oh yeah, okay, it's a right skewed. So let's move the chart. Let's put it in its own little sheet so we can take a look at it and we can see just how that distribution works out. So here's our frequencies. Here is our bins. Let's make, since we've got it here, let's make it look the way it should. So we're going to put axis titles on. all this. No units for this because it is just frequency, which is just a number. And these are our, we'll just call this bins, and these are in US dollars. And actually, let's right-click this, and let's fix up our bins a little bit. Actually, I actually need to be in the axis. Right-click, format axis, and we can set the bin widths to, let's just say 20. Nice round number there. Maybe 10. There we go. So we get some more bins in there. Now we can play around with it. But we can see it is a skewed distribution. Once again, it is, I said skewed to the left earlier. It's skewed to the right because it's where the long tail is. So we actually have a lot of outliers here to the end. But there we go. So just a fun little way of using simulation to see dealing with stock prices. Just another way of being able to use, let's go back over here, another way of being able to use that random variable to calculate things out. I hope you understand everything that's going on. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.